Good morning, everybody. Daniel Spatz from California. Today in English, we will have a wonderful guest. It's an honor, privilege to have the guest that we're going to present very soon. Ann White, Martin, welcome from Italy, the first guest. Thank you, Martin, for joining, and I wish you the very best. You're doing a wonderful job in Italy, okay? Coaching tennis and helping the Italian tennis to grow, to get better. Thank you, everybody. Today is going to be in English, so make sure you try to understand. Of course, my English is with accent, strong accent, so if you understand something, you will get it. My guest was number 9 in doubles, right? Number 19 in singles, Ann White from USA. She's here very close to me in Los Angeles, so we are 1 hour away from each other, and it's a privilege to have Ann in this live. Thanks to Pablo Araya, who made it possible. He joined Ann's academy club in Beverly Hills Country Club, where Ann is the tennis director. So thanks, Pablo. Ann, you're there, so I'm gonna give you the welcome for all the Latin American and European community. They're gonna be able to learn from you, to listen to you, and to have a great time, great moment. So I'm looking forward to give Ann the welcoming. And right there, let me just send the invitation. Yeah, Ann, send me the request, please, and I will give you the welcome. You send me the request. Mario Rincon, big hug for you, Mario. I hope you're doing well, family, everybody's well. Today is a Women's Day for Daniel Spatz Lives, because I have now Ann White, and then I will have Florencia Labat from Argentina, former top player from that country. So I love to interview, all different players, different times, former players, current players, coaches, physios, psychologists, and so let me it says unable to join, so send me please the request to be live, because I can't welcome you because it says unable to join when I'm looking at the list. Let me find out. There you go. Successful sent. You will soon get my invitation. So as you guys know, these interviews are going later on my YouTube channel, so you can watch it anytime, anywhere. Even this is wonderful because this is like a podcast. You can listen to like a radio show. I sent to you the invitation, and right now, and you should get it. Tito Vasquez, hi Tito, welcome, thank you for joining us. I'm waiting for Ann's to get live. It's just a matter of time, few minutes. Be patient, tennis players, we have to be patient. So it's a good lesson that tennis taught me, and I think it teaches everybody to be patient, thoughtful, calm, and weather the storm. This is how we say that you have to weather the storm. Let me see what is going on. She's active. I already sent the invitation to Ann. So thank you so much for joining me today, and hopefully we will go live soon with Ann in a few minutes. I wish you guys a wonderful Sunday, and stay safe, stay healthy. That's the most important thing, right? In these times, I'm waiting for the vaccine. Things here in California and USA are not getting better by any means, so we have to be really careful. Still, we are teaching tennis, we are coaching, but it's getting hard, getting difficult. So let me see. I'm gonna try to find. Okay, I sent already an invitation. Oh, hi, how are you?
Sorry about that.
No, you don't have to be sorry about anything. How are you doing?
I'm good. For some reason I couldn't get on my laptop, so I'm on my good old cell phone. So this will have to work.
Yeah, it's easier sometimes. How
Yeah,
are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for accepting we have a wonderful weather now right here, at least in
Oh,
Irvine. It's
I went
gorgeous.
hiking this morning. It's just blue skies and absolutely perfect out. So
Okay, and thank you. It's a privilege and honor having you. I have talked to so many great players in the past, and when I learned that Pablo was joining you, immediately I said, Pablo, let's talk to her and see if I can talk to her.
yeah, well, Pablo's something else, as you know. We go back to when we were 14 years old at Nick Bollettieri's, so it's full circle now with Pablo.
Wonderful. And I hope everything is okay. You know that we are going through very difficult times right
Yeah.
now. I know you are the tennis director of the Beverly Hills Country Club, right?
Beverly Hills Tennis Club.
Tennis club,
Yeah.
and is everything is going well? You guys teach, everything is normal.
I mean, as normal as it can be here. I mean, we're very lucky. It's a very small club. There's only 5 courts. It's been around for about 90 years. It was founded by Charlie Chaplin and Groucho Marx 90 years ago in Los Angeles.
Wow,
So it's got a great history. And we're fortunate that it's a small club, so we don't have, a ton of members. And so far, knock on, we've been very lucky with the virus. And, we take all the precautions and all that and limit the courts to 4 per clinic, and we started doubles back just about 2 months ago. So it was singles for a long time. So
yeah, okay, good. So I want to come up with sort of a chat friendly conversation.
okay.
This is not an interview. It's just a friendly conversation. So you are from West Virginia, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So what are you doing in California? How do you? Because I heard I was learning that you like sunshine, right?
I like what?
Sunshine, the sun.
Oh yes, I hate being cold. I hate it. So that's one thing. That's one thing I do know. I'm not big on the cold. I don't know how to ski or skate or. I
Okay.
don't. Yeah. I grew up in Charleston, West Virginia. Wonderful place to grow up. And as a kid, I grew up at the Charleston Tennis Club, and my friends teased me because I couldn't play tennis. And my mom brought me along to her ladies' doubles game. And my friends were in a clinic down below, and they were like, ha, 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 you can play tennis, ha, 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 ha. And so I immediately asked her to join in the clinic. And I got in the clinic, and then a week later, the pro came up to my mom and said, your daughter can actually play, so I'm putting her with the 9-year-olds when I was 5. So I was just very lucky that I was gifted. My father was a basketball
Mm.
player. He was captain of the West Virginia University men's team. And I was the oldest, so I had a ball in my hand. So when he came home for work, we shot baskets, or we shot pool, or we played ping pong. So, I developed a very good hand-eye coordination at an early age. And now, as I teach, I think that's one of the key fundamental pieces in children, is to establish that hand-eye coordination at an early age for tennis.
Wonderful, but you're tall, right? 5'11".
Yeah, well, my dad was 6'5", and my mom was 5'9", so my parents were quite tall. And back to the Charleston Tennis Club, so that was the club that I grew up at. And then coincidentally, it hosted the National 16 Girls Junior Tournament. So I remember when I was like 9 or 10, Chris Evert was the champion of the 16 and under nationals. So I was her ball girl. And so I got exposed to really high level tennis due to that tournament, and then started competing when I was 9 years old and traveling around the country and playing nationals at a very early age. And then, of course, Nick Bollettieri saw me play when I was 14, and told my parents he was going to start a little tennis school in Florida. So we all know how that worked out.
Look at what ended up being probably the
Yeah.
largest and the most, I always say, famous tennis academy in the world by far.
Yeah, I mean, Nick was a pioneer, and really smart and very eccentric, but he had a way of communicating with the kids and getting us to give not only our best, but more that we could give on the court, and really pushed us to compete against each other. And a lot of us were from the Northeast, or from places where in West Virginia, I only played 3 or 4 hours a week indoors with my father's friends. And I only had a coach in the summer. So Nick offered me the opportunity to play 3 or 4 hours a day with a coach. So it was kind of a no-brainer back then. But, when I went, back in the late 70s, I mean, people weren't doing that. And that's, of course, where I met Pablo, because Pablo joined in the early days, too, with, Paul Annacone and Jimmy Arias and Carling Bassett and Kathleen Horvath, Mike DePalmer. They were all the kids that were there that, that went on to have pretty darn good careers.
Wonderful. How was it to work with Nick? Having Nick behind you?
Nick, I would have to use the word magical. I mean, Nick had a way of communicating and believing in you, and you wanted to do your best for him. And he was a true disciplinarian, and you couldn't really mess around, and he expected a lot out of you to work hard. And we all wanted his praises. We wanted to be on the front court, and, we wanted to be the top dog. And he also had us competing against each other, which helped raise the level of our games. And, we all got better.
So back then, he was well known in my country, Argentina, for the killer forehand, big forehand. So yeah, all we knew about Nick's students, big forehand. Yeah. But how about the ladies? How about the women's? Because I was always wondering to know if he also instilled just the forehand or not really, and the girls.
Oh, yeah. I mean, remember Monica Seles? I mean, Nick, she hit the ball on the rise, and she had a very unorthodox game. You wouldn't teach anybody to play the way Monica played, but she was brilliant, and she was a very, very hard worker. And like I said, hit the ball on the rise and 2 hands on both sides. I mean, really, really tough to do. So, he sort of looked at each player. I mean, I was technically a serve and volleyer. I had a very good forehand as well, but I was not hanging on that baseline for too long because that's not where my strengths, were at the time. So, I think Nick, really was known for the big forehand, certainly from Jimmy Arias and a lot of other players. But, I think he really took it on each individual to make them the best that they could be with the sort of game that they had. I mean, look at Jim Courier. I mean, he had that baseball-like backhand.
Yeah. He
didn't go around changing players' strokes, that they had. I was using Courier as an example because that backhand is, it's just pretty much just like a baseball swing almost.
Yeah, and Andre Agassi was totally, because he was well-rounded from both sides, right? Good backhand, good forehand.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah. Andre was, he was terribly gifted. And I think, there are players like Andre and certainly McEnroe and Sampras, back in the day, and obviously Federer now and Nadal and the top players and Djokovic. I truly believe that those players see the ball a split second earlier than the rest of us mere mortals. I think they see the ball sooner and are able to prepare to have that little bit of extra time to set up their shot.
So, no one can teach that, right? I mean, a coach, you can't teach that, right? It's something.
No, well, that's just a gift. I mean, that's just a God-given gift and talent. I mean, you can work really hard, but I mean, I think that you have to remember, tennis happens, as you know, extremely, extremely fast, and there's a lot of information going in that brain. I'm going, okay, I've got to turn, I've got to this, I'm going to stay down, I've got to hit it to the backhand, I've got to hit early, I've got to get over the net, and you've got to process all that information really, really quickly. And I think, the sooner you are able to do that and see that, that's just an innate gift.
Wonderful. So back in the day, when we grew up in Argentina, we heard and read about California having the best players coming out of California, either college, Sampras, Tracy Austin, so and so and so. How is the situation now in California, talking about big tennis players?
Well, I think the majority of, there's a lot of academies in Florida. I think, California, I mean, there's, close to 7 million people in Los Angeles. I think it's harder just from a geographic
Mm-hmm.
point of view to get around. And I think the academies in Florida are able to get big pieces of land and, you know, have all the courts there, and it's less expensive. Plus the cost of living is higher in California, but it comes down to the coaches. I mean, I think there's a lot of good coaches around. I mean, certainly Lansdorf back in the day was a great coach.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good coaches in Orange County. I know Chris Lewis, you know, he's down there, former Wimbledon finalist from New Zealand. Robert Van Hoff, who worked with Lindsay Davenport, she's down there. Rick Leach, Scott Davis. So there's a lot of good coaches in Orange County. You know, I think now the Beverly Hills Tennis Club, Pablo's joined us, and he's exceptional with kids. So we're working on that. But, you know, I think Florida there's a lot more happening in Florida at the moment, obviously due to the USTA Center being in Orlando as well.
Okay. It's good to know, because I have a lot of viewers, you know, from South America and Latin America and Europe, and they want to know, you know, about tennis history. And they are all wondering about men's tennis in the USA, because the women's are, you know, saying, I'm here, you know, USA is here, Williams, all the Stevens and Kenning, you know, but the men's are a little bit behind, right?
Well, I think
right
you've got to be able to play on the clay. There's not a lot of clay courts out here. You know, there's a couple at the LA Tennis Club here. There's a couple at Riviera in Los Angeles, but there's not a lot of clay. And I think, you know, the men that come from especially the Latin countries, I mean, they're pretty darn good on the clay courts. And to me, clay is the hardest to win on, because you don't get many. You really have to earn every point that you get, and you got to stay out there all day if you have to. And as you know, I mean, Americans winning the French, I mean, not a whole lot of Americans have won the French. So it's a tough one.
Yeah, but it's interesting, because Jim Courier won it 2 times, Andre Agassi won it, Michael Chang won it.
Yeah.
Pete Sampras got to the semis, but those guys were more than hardcore players. I mean, maybe Jim right in Florida played, but it was probably the golden area, right?
But that was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, right? I mean, McEnroe got to the finals. He lost
exactly.
heartbreaker to Lendl.
Yeah.
But I mean, recently, you know, we haven't had a lot of, in my opinion, the male players that are, you know, great on clay courts.
Exactly. But no, McEnroe got to the finals, lost to Lendl.
Yeah.
Somebody said never. No, but listen, I wish I could be at least have the chance to play the first round. When someone, you know, talks about professional players, criticizing them, I'm very careful, because I know how hard it is to play tennis. You know, with one of the parents of my students said, oh, how he's making a double fault. I say, hey, wait a minute. Have you ever played tennis? So how you deal, Anne, how you deal with parents?
With parents?
No, parents of the students.
Yeah. Well, I try to be realistic. You know, it's a long road. It's a long race, you know. I mean, you know, and I think it's all little steps and little goals. I mean, I think you can't get too far ahead of yourself. I mean, that's kind of true in life. I mean, I think you just have to look, do what the day demands, and look at the next tournament or look at the next practice, do your best. I mean, I'm just all about giving 100% on the court, and that's really all you can do. And I think what happens is, if you have too great an expectation, you know, you're setting yourself up for some heartbreak and some tough times. And, you know, it's difficult for those that haven't been through the process, because for me, I look back and I'm like, I can't believe that I was, you know, fortunate enough to play Wimbledon, I don't know, 8 times and get to top 20 in the world. I mean, it blows my mind, you know, now. I mean, I'm old enough to look back and think, gosh, you know, I really did all that, and grateful for it. But, you know, there were a lot of days that, you know, you didn't want to practice, or you didn't want to play, and you didn't want to play that consolation. And I think back then, I mean, it was tough. I mean, speaking of consolation, you had to play the consolation draw. I mean, you know, I think the kids now, they need to have that drive and that grit, and you need to get out there and play. I mean, we didn't have orange dot green ball. We had wood rackets, and you got out there and hit the ball and you played. And I think that is part of it. I think you got to work hard and have that drive to really be successful.
Okay. And do you really think that teaching kids with the small rackets, the colorful balls, what is going on lately, compared with the times that we learned with a good racket, the heavy rackets, the normal balls, what is your point about it? What is your opinion about that? Do you think this lighter equipment will make better players for the future?
I think it's a good teaching tool, to make it standard for getting to the next level. I mean, I think it allows, it was kind of like the introduction of the Prince racket. It allowed the really bad club player to be able to sort of play. And I think it's the same with kids now. It allows kids that aren't very good sort of to be able to play. The ones that want to play are going to play. But I think it's a good teaching tool. I don't like to hold kids back. I don't like to have them have to do something if they are better than that. It's like in school. You don't put the really super smart kids with the kids that are struggling. You want them to excel, and you keep pushing them forward. So I'm not a fan of holding kids back. So some kids need that to be able to gain that skill. And again, it comes back to being realistic. I mean, are you just playing and trying to learn the game so you have a social game of tennis for your life? Or are you playing that maybe you want to try to play on your high school team? Or are you playing to play college? So again, you've got to be realistic on, where you want, tennis to fit in your life.
Fantastic. I totally agree as a coach. I sometimes see kids are really good and play 10 and unders with a green dot.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to, honestly, to me, it's wasted time for them.
Well, and also with the dimensions of the court, I mean, I always joke and I say, can you imagine tennis? I play a little bit of golf, and I said, can you imagine a tennis court if we had hazards like sand traps and water, on the tennis court? At least when you play tennis, no matter where you are in the world, the dimensions are always the same on the court. And I think when you set up the small courts, I've had kids go play on other, teams, other clubs against other teams, and they've got the lines for the junior courts, and then they're trying to call the lines, and they're like, was that in, or was that out, or that line was there? And I think it's very confusing to the kids.
Ann, what a beautiful point that you're making. Amazing. I love it. Go ahead.
So, I want to, I slowly bring the kids along so that they, because we only have 5 courts. We don't have our courts taped off for the junior courts. And I use the orange balls and the green dots to help them progress, when they're 5 and 6 years old. But, as soon as they can play with the yellow balls, I want them to understand the dimensions of the court, where you play defense, where you play offense, where you are in accordance to the net, etc. And so to me, that's the most important thing.
You were a fantastic serve and volley player. You were, I said to the audience, you were number 9 in doubles, number 9 in the world, 19 in singles, which was wonderful.
Thank you.
No, it's what it was. Let me ask you this. Do you feel the serve and volley game, the style, is dead or not? We will see in the future, especially, I'm talking about women's tennis. We will see more Ann White, Martina Navratilova, Pam Shriver.
I don't know if that will come back the way that it was, because having to hit half volleys and the way that the spin and the new technology, obviously with the rackets, causes the ball to dip at your shoelaces. And you're having to hit the ball up a lot. And unless, you get women that are 6'5" or something like that and hitting serves like Isner, where they're hitting down on the court, maybe. But, I think the net is still a really valuable place to be, and certainly a weapon to have if you can structure the points right to come in and cut off that angle. For women, I mean, I think the ground strokes are big enough, and if they can get into the net at the right time, it can certainly help you close out points earlier. No question.
Yeah, but Ashley Barty, the number one, the Australian,
Yeah,
is often going to the net. I mean,
yes.
and she sometimes she does serve and volley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Venus Williams, she has tremendous volleys. I mean, you know, Serena unfortunately has a great swing volley. She's not quite as technically sound and doesn't move as well to the volley. But if she volleyed like like Venus, I mean, it would make life a lot easier for her, in my opinion.
Do you still, or your staff, tennis staff, your coaches are working in volleys daily with the junior players? You love to do it?
Oh yes, I always work on the volley. I mean, the volley, the drop. I mean, the drop shot. You know, which was one of my favorite shots as well to bring the person in. I mean, we're seeing the drop shot come back into play a lot more. I think on the pro level. So, you know, I think it's important. As I like to tell my kids, you know, I want you to have as many tools in your tool belt as you possibly can. And there are times you're going to have to hit that volley, and if that person's off to the side of the court, you need to be able to make that shot. So, you know, I definitely think it's for an all-rounded game. You need a good volley.
You're one of the best. So I'm listening and learning from the best. What give us some secrets about Daniel. This is the secret to have a good volley, and also a good overhead smash. Very underrated.
Yeah.
And a stroke that I don't see in academies practice enough. The overhead smash.
Well, I think with the volley, I'm big on shoulder turns and the legs, you know, and then, you know, visualizing that the ball is in front of you. You have to, I mean, I'm a big proponent of visualizing where you want to hit the ball every time, and using strong legs and shoulder turn. And then also use targets all the time on the court. So you're always pushing to that target where you want the ball to go. But I think, you know, to me, the shoulder turn is really undervalued in terms of where you want that ball to go. And, you know, a firm grip. And when I teach the volley, I'm like, this is as tight and as you're going to hold the racket, I think, in any shot is on the volley.
Okay. How about swinging volleys? And because it's
swinging volleys, you know, I mean, again, you've got to turn really well, and you want the ball out in front. You know, you don't want to let the ball drop too low, and you need to know where you are in the court. And to me, so much of it is player has to know what they're comfortable with, because when it's crunch time and you're out on the court and your swing volleys like marginal, you know, you gotta say, look, if you need to go comfortable with your best shot, you know, and maybe that's a block volley back and not the swing volley. But if you have a good swing volley, I mean, Serena has a great swing volley. She's confident on that shot, I think. But, you know, some players don't have the greatest of swing volleys. I mean, I certainly think it's more of a women's shot than a men's shot.
Okay. And what would you say is the best volleyer right now in the men's tennis?
In women's tennis?
Both, women's and men's.
Well, I mean, I think Federer, I mean, I think he's unbelievable. You know, in women's, you know, I like Venus's volleys a lot. I think she volleys really, really well.
Okay, fantastic. And also, and something very, I think one of the skills that I think we should practice more is the approach, right? The approach shot.
Oh, with these big Western grips, I mean, I'm big on the slice.
Yeah, I know what it happens. Happens all the time. Yeah.
And you know what? I want to circle back to the overhead. I didn't finish your question.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know, the overhead, you've got to have strong legs. You've got to get behind the ball, you know, and I think the legs are really, really, really important and get behind the ball. But the overhead is definitely a shot that, you know, that everybody needs as well.
We see a lot in men's tennis because the boys are returning lobs. Sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see more and more and you teach with a continental grip, right? Continental, all these net shots.
Yeah, for the net and the overhead, absolutely. Okay. And racket head up. I mean, racket head up is huge. remind me. I'll send you a picture of me when I was 16 with a Jack Kramer hitting
I
a
will love
forehand
it.
volley. So you'll see my forehand volley. I had that at an early age, and might be one of my best shots. But I remember one of my coaches tied a shoelace to the top of the racket, and I had a wristband and wrapped that around my wrist because I kept dropping my racket head on my volley. So I think the other important thing on the volley is you've got to keep that racket head up. It's really, really
Wonderful.
important. But back to the slice. I mean, the slice, I think I'm always working on that with the kids too, because like I said before, with these big extreme Western grips, they hate low balls.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the danger. And I really teach either an Eastern forehand or a semi-Western, because I don't like it too far over there. I think it limits you a little too much, especially when you have to come to the net and make those extreme changes, to a volley grip. But the slice is a great change of pace when you're hitting rallies, and certainly as an approach shot, you want to keep that ball low. So
wonderful. So, Ann, do you sit on the couch, relaxing? Do you enjoy watching tennis nowadays? The games that you're watching, the styles of the girls. How do you? What is your point about it? What is your opinion about it? You were one of the greatest. So right now, you enjoy watching these hard hitters and powerful tennis.
Yeah, I mean, no, I still enjoy watching it. I mean, I always, I mean, it's a little different now. I joke with some of my old friends. It's like I said, in all the years I played, I maybe took one bathroom break. I don't remember all these bathroom breaks and all these medical timeouts. And, that to me is a little excessive, what goes on with that. And I'm not a fan.
Sorry, Anne, how was it back then for people who never saw it? No, I'm not aware of that. When you play Wimbledon, how was the breaks? At what time you had allowed to leave the court? Or
well, you really didn't. I mean,
okay.
unless you like broken your arm, or I mean, you could call for the trainer, but you really didn't call for a trainer. I mean, unless you would really hurt yourself. I mean, really hurt yourself. So
cramps? How about cramps? Cramping?
Well, cramping, same thing. I mean,
okay.
And places like the U.S. Open or the Australian, where it's super hot and you're losing all those electrolytes. I mean, that I understand, but it seems to me it's a little excessive with calling the trainer and then going for bathroom breaks and changing your clothes. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's just it's a little much. And in coaching on the court, I'm not a fan of that. I think the beauty of the sport. The beauty of the sport is get out there and figure it out, and yeah, coaches are going to try to coach from the stands and, play charades and give hand signals, but that's been going on since the dark ages, and that'll continue to go on. And, it's really about the battle of, one person against another, or if you're playing doubles, one team against the other. And you need to figure it out on the court. And I think if they introduce coaching, it just becomes, it loses the authenticity of the game and the sport, and it's not as authentic in my opinion.
Perfect.
Like that.
Perfect. And training. Talking about training, how much do you enjoy training?
Well, I that training's tough. I have to tell you, training's tough, but obviously so important now. You've got to put your time in the gym or the track or running stairs. And I mean, running stairs is like the greatest thing for your overhead ever, and your serve for your legs. And, it's just all the players are that much stronger and fitter, and you've got to keep up to be able to do that. So it's a must. It's a big must.
How many hours you used to train?
Well, the last year that I played, I finally got a trainer, and then 6 weeks later, I won a tournament in singles. So I can honestly attest that it does work. And he used to make me run around the perimeter of UCLA, which is, over 6 miles. And I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. It's not really that far. Well, the last mile and a half is like up Sunset and is a real hill. And when you're driving, it doesn't seem like it's much, but when you're running, it's a big hill.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's I was putting in at least 5 hours a week in the gym or on the track, plus probably close to 3 hours on the court a day. So, you know, an hour and a half to 2 hours in the morning. So, you know, a lot. And I know players now, and again, there's a fine balance between overdoing it and getting yourself injured too. So I think the players now are really smart to have, you know, these trainers with them to push them, but also to make sure that they don't injure themselves, because it's very, you know, easy to do all this stuff and then, you know, injure yourself too.
I have two questions that I'm always asked. People are asking me, but I wanna ask you. I have, let's say, I come to your place. I said, Ann, I have a 10-year-old, number 10 in California, or 12-year-old girl. How many hours she should train a week?
You know, I think 4 or 5 days a week to start out. I mean, to me, the number one word is fun. And tennis has got to be fun at that age. And to me, it's about building some sort of foundation for them and letting them have fun and see the improvement within themselves so that they want to continue. Very few kids really have, you know, that gift and that intensity to really push at that early age. And, you know, a lot of more kids burn out than you can ever imagine. So you've got to be careful with that. So, you know, I like to have fun on the court where the kids, you know, obviously are building their tennis game, but they're also making friendships with other kids and enjoying coming to the tennis club and building community there, and maybe going in the pool after, having lunch. So it becomes a whole afternoon of something, not just, you know, intense tennis, because as I said earlier, it's a long road.
Absolutely. Another question, and private lessons versus group lessons. What is your point? What is your take?
Well, I think both are great. I mean, we just started the junior clinics back, Pablo and I did, at the club 2 weeks ago. And, you know, I try to group the kids together in terms of ability and then in terms of age. So it's fun for them. And I think private lessons are great, but you also need group lessons to, again, encourage more court time and more fun time, but also quietly building their game without kind of them even realizing it. And then, you know, slowly get into match play and all that.
Perfect. Going back to your tennis life, right now you see players having coach, physios, psychologist, agent, therapist, someone who's carrying the passport, the other one the tennis bag, the other one the bottle jar. Oh my goodness, like an entourage of the top players, of course.
Yeah.
You were a top player, how was back in your day your team around? How many people around and wide?
Well, I mean, last year that I played, I worked with John Lloyd, who was great, and he was coaching me. And you know, I didn't have a huge team. You know, I mean, okay. I think you know, occasionally, you know, Nick May would be there at some of my professional tournaments, and then my first coach, who I'd started with, came to a few tournaments a few times. I would have a coach with me, but I didn't. I don't know. I probably should have had more people around me. I didn't want to have. It just felt weird having all those people around, and also I think this day and age, there's so much more data. You know, players rely on all this data, and which is a good thing and a bad thing. I think it can cause you to overthink things. And I think so much my game was really about feel and being fit and in shape, and how did that court feel, or how was the ball coming off my racket, or, you know, what's the temperature like, and maybe I was too overconfident in my own abilities. But you know, I think it's easier if you have a coach and somebody with you to help keep you prepared for every match, because, you know, you're basically a traveling circus, playing and having to play in different conditions and different courts and different time zones and weather. And it's nice to have somebody manage a lot of those other things for you so you can focus on your tennis.
You have people from Netherlands watching you, from Argentina, Mexico, Peru, Chile. Yeah,
Well,
so
I'm very honored.
Italy,
Thank you. Thank you
Spain.
very much.
No, I know the audience, so they come and go. So, greetings from Amsterdam. Look, Patricia.
Oh,
So,
good.
from Germany. From Germany. Look at that.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
there you go. I told you. And tell us, everybody, the secrets of doubles to be a great doubles player.
Well,
Even we have some club players so watching us, so they want to learn.
don't
They
lose
want to
your
learn from the
serve.
best.
You know, to me, doubles is first serve in and making those returns. Playing the middle, I think playing the middle a lot. I always tell the club players, you know, nobody's going to call the ball out if you hit a winner up the middle. But you know, you've got to communicate well with your partner and know your partner's strengths and have that good rhythm with your partner, which is nice. But it really is all about putting pressure on your opponents, and you do that by, you know, hitting good returns, making your returns, and getting your first serve in.
Perfect. Going back to a father comes to you, dad, mom, with a 17-year-old and said, "And take a look about my daughter's game. She's whatever, 30 in California, 60 in the country. And the parents are telling you, we want our daughter to play pro, not to go to college." What would you say? What advice you will give it to them? She's not, I'm not telling you, she's not the number 1 in the USA. She's number 30 in the USA.
You know, I think, I think college is a great thing. I mean, there are no do-overs with that. And to be around in terms of, you know, your life progression and having that experience, which, you know, I was fortunate enough to go to USC for 2 years, and we were national champs my freshman year and undefeated. And number one, I made some of the greatest friends that I have in life are from my college years. And it was a wonderful experience. And it also got me to build my game. And had I turned pro instead of going to college, I don't think I would have done as well, because it's the maturity that you need to get out there and be on the circuit is huge. And it's tough. I mean, you're traveling around the world, and it certainly wasn't glamorous back when I played, and it really isn't glamorous now traveling as much as people think it is. And I think it can hurt you. I mean, I think you can go play, work on your game, and then nobody can take a college degree away from you. And I think you can wait a year or two, play some pro tournaments on the side, and then see if that's really for you. So I would say no. I'm a big fan of, you know, going to school and, you know, playing it out a little bit.
We have one of the best coaches in Latin America watching us, Tito Vasquez, Modesto Vasquez. He was a USCLA player. He played on the tour, Davis Cup captain for Argentina. He's saying hi to you from Argentina.
Hello.
Tito, yeah, it was a great, he loved California. So, tell us about, I mean, I'm going back to Grand Slams. You watching your results, right? Semis, French Open, doubles, US Open, right?
Yeah, semifinals of both of those. Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, your favorite Grand Slam, the one that you couldn't wait to play.
I mean, I love the French. I mean, you know, I should have had my best results at Wimbledon for my game, but I didn't. It was always cold, and everybody was so uptight there, and I just never played well at Wimbledon. I got the quarterfinals of mixed doubles with Elliot Telcher. And other than that, I just never played well at Wimbledon, which is unfortunate. But the French I loved. I mean, I love Paris. I mean, I was off going to the Louvre, or the Jeu de Paume Museum, which had all the Impressionist art. I was out sightseeing, and I love the French and their attitude and the sophistication of the tournament. And for some reason, you know, I got to the round of 16 of singles there, which was a miracle one year, and then the semifinals of doubles. But and then the US Open I liked a lot. I mean, the US Open with the night matches. I mean, it is just such a reflection of that city and America. And the passion that's around tennis and the people that love it and the planes flying overhead. I mean, it's definitely a carnival-like atmosphere there, but it really brings out the best in you and in the fight there. And, you know, I, of course, being an American, loved playing in New York as well. The Australian, not so much. It's too far away.
Okay, okay. Have you ever gone back? Have you ever returned to the? Look at Tito is asking. Did she go to the chess castle? He's asking Tito one question. Can you read the question?
Shay Castle. What is Castel?
I don't
Restaurant?
know. He lived in England, so also in the past. Look, they're asking us from Germany. Do you play that? If you play a tournament in Germany?
I played in Berlin. I played. I think one of my first tournaments I played is in Berlin, and lost first round. Did not play well there, and then but I've been to Baden-Baden, and I love Baden-Baden. I didn't play tennis there, but I went to the Black Forest, and I loved Germany. And my mother's half German, so I'm actually quarter German. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
He's asking Tito,
best nightclub in
Paris.
Oh my gosh, where did we go with it? The Metro or something? There wasn't the Metro or something like that in Paris.
So how about that life off the court? Because I heard, you know, have you watched the Netflix documentary about Villas, Guillermo Villas?
I haven't yet. I haven't. No.
Okay. Everybody talks about the rock stars. You know, Villas, Gerulaitis, McEnroe, Borg. Back then, you know, Connors. These guys were special.
Yeah.
So, and the women's too, Navratilova, Creasy, people that you play with, the group that you were into it. So, how is now? How is it now? I mean, don't you think it's too friendly? Sometimes they said it's too friendly now. Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, everybody loves each other. Looks like, how do you see this differences?
Well, I mean, you know, you're still competing. I mean, and still competitors, but you know, I think there's just respect. I think there's such, you know, certain players. I mean, you have respect for players, and as a professional, it's really important to have that. And you know, I'd say 95% of the players out there have respect for one another, and I think that's really healthy and important. And then there's certain players that you're friendly with and you go out, you know, hanging out with or night clubbing or whatever. And there are others that just don't do that, you know, so.
Yeah, it looks like everybody has their own work. So you also, besides your tennis career, your coaching job, you are also entrepreneur. You were a producer, right? Of a very, very good... Please tell us. Because a lot of people, they have no idea about that, and it's a wonderful story.
Well, I you know, was one of Nick Bollettieri's first students, and so about 5 years ago, my parents have a home on Longboat Key in Sarasota, and I was walking on the beach right near the Colony where I trained as a kid with Pablo every day for 2.5 years, and I had lunch with Nick at IMG, and I said, "Holy cow, Nick, I can't believe everything you did, and this is unbelievable." I said, "Somebody needs to do a movie on you." I said, "Let me go back to Los Angeles. I have some friends that are in the movie business, and let's see if I can do a documentary." So 3.5 years later, Love Means Zero premiered at the Toronto Film Festival, and we were nominated for a Sports Emmy, and very well received. We have 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating, which is great, and won 2 awards in the film festival circuit. And it's really a story about Nick and some of the students, Agassi, Courier, Becker, and some of the female students that he coached, and what it was like to build an academy, and you know what you go through with coaching and coaching top players. And you know, I'm certainly proud of the film, and Nick was very, very good to me. Never charged me a penny. I'm one of many that he gave scholarships to, and he certainly changed the game of coaching and tennis. It was his unorthodox style and was such a motivator, but I felt like his story needed to be told in a big way. And So it's called Love Means Zero, and I think you can stream it on Hulu, or it's Showtime documentaries.
I already watched it 3 times, so
Oh, really?
I strongly recommend people to watch it. If you love tennis, you're gonna watch it.
Yeah.
So thanks, and I hope you're having a good time. I don't know
Yeah,
how you
yes,
feel.
absolutely. You're so fun. You're very fun.
Thank you, and you are also very nice and very friendly. Tell us about the great players that you have played against: Martina, Chrissy, Gabriela. In Argentina, people is excited about Gabi Sabatini's matches in Tampa, right? One of the
Yeah, I
semis
lost in Tampa. Then I lost to her 1 year at the French Open.
in the French Open. And
And
you play Laura Araya, Pablo's sister.
yes, I lost to her at the French Open too. I beat her once indoors. You know, all the Argentinian and the Latin American players on the clay, I was not, that was not my surface. So I had a tougher time on the clay, but, indoors or on grass, then I was, a little more comfortable because they were all great clay court players. But, certainly Sabatini was a really tough player, had that all that topspin kind of ahead of her time with the topspin, forehand and the one-handed backhand. And Madruga was another good player who ran down a lot of balls, and Ivana Madruga.
Yeah. How was it to play against Gabi? Because Gabi was, reached #2 in the world, was our best player ever. She having her in front, hitting.
She was always very nice and very quiet and very reserved. I mean, lovely person. I did not know her that well. But, she was a fierce competitor, too. And I think, she started young and she had a lot of pressure on her. But she handled everything, extremely well as far as I'm concerned. And was, she and Steffi were kind of, coming up around the same time. And, certainly both, well-respected, great players that kind of kept to themselves.
Okay, wonderful. They're saying hi. Thank you, guys, for watching. Right now, if you go to, let's say, the U.S. Open or Indian Wells, who is your favorite player to watch? You go right now, just having nice fun time. Go. Which court you will go? We'll go first.
Well, I usually go to the U.S. Open every year, and
okay.
I didn't obviously go this year, but the year before I saw Nadal play and had pretty good seats kind of right behind the baseline. And to watch him play and to watch when you're on the line and see that spin go around, how he can curve shots. I mean, you don't get a full understanding until you see it in person. And then also to watch Federer, I mean, up close and to see him in action is a thing of beauty. I mean, he really is, in my opinion, in a league of his own, only because he's so graceful and you never see the guy out of position. But I love Del Potro's game. I hope he gets his fitness and his injury healed, so he can get back on the court, because I think he's a great competitor and I have such admiration for him, being such a big guy. And he moves extremely well considering how tall he is. It's not easy to move that well. And then the women, I'm a huge fan of the Williams sisters. I mean, they're American, and I love their determination and their spirit and their fight and their story. I mean, the fact that their dad said he was gonna create 2 world champions, and he did it on the, a next to nothing budget. And it's the American dream, the American story, and he did it twice, which is phenomenal. So I enjoy seeing all the different players play, but those are kind of my favorite.
But I heard that Serena is your favorite, right? Serena Williams is.
Yeah, I like Serena. I like her spirit. I mean, she's feisty and she's a fighter. She's a fighter, and we had. Right before Indian Wells, Wawrinka came to practice at the club.
Oh, and, wow. One of my favorites.
Yeah, and he was very sweet and very kind. And, to watch his backhand up close and to watch him hit balls was pretty darn special, because, you like certain players for certain shots. And that backhand of his is, and his serve. I mean, he's got that incredible power on his serve too. So it's a real treat when you get to see something up close and be able to see a player like that.
Please, next time he's in the club, give me a call. I will go. I will
Okay.
take a private jet. You know.
You have an invitation, an open invitation.
So, and everybody, is wondering and curious about, the famous Wimbledon 1985.
Oh, yeah.
So someone is ask Anne about the white catsuit, everything. So you've been asked this question for a million times. I know that. But please, I would love to hear whatever you want to say about that story, because it was wonderful, of course, but it was so colorful story.
It happened because at the time I was dating a guy named Ian Hamilton, who was the head of global marketing for Nike, and I was under contract with Pony. I wore Pony clothes and shoes. And so Ian had given me some tights. It was in the winter. It was like February for the indoor circuit. And I'm tall, I'm 5'11". And I wore these tights and I was like, God, they keep my legs warm. And these are the equivalent of leggings, what everybody wears around today, everybody lives in leggings. And so, like yoga pants. And so I love these tights. And one day Ian and I were talking, and as a joke, I said, oh, can you imagine wearing a white bodysuit like this at Wimbledon? Because back then, this is all prior to global warming, the weather was quite cool and rainy and damp, and my legs are long, and I really liked the way the leggings felt. So we laughed about it, and then that was that. So then the French Open rolled around, and we were having a dinner one night, Ian and I, with a guy named Carlo Grippo, who was the head of Nike Italy. And he said, I'll get it made for you. I'll have it made. Oh, I have it made. And then I'll ship it to you in London. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. And this was 1985, pre-cell phones and all of that. So lo and behold, Carlo said he would have it made at this factory and mail it to me in my flat in London. So I have to play Pam Shriver the first round. And the match is not supposed to be on a Monday. Well, it rains Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So no match. The suit arrives on Thursday morning. It finally stops raining. He sends 2 suits. One is sleeveless and the other one is long sleeve. I could not wear one suit without the other because it was so sheer. So I had on 2 suits actually. And then I had to get my Pony patches and my Weight Watcher patches and my Sunbeam patches, all my sponsor patches sewed on this suit. So my good friend from college, Betsy, sewed all that stuff on. And then I went in the locker room in the shower and put it on and put my tracksuit on. So nobody really knew, but like 2 of my friends and Ian. And then I went out to play Pam on court 2 with the suit on. In the warm-up, and then the umpire said prepare to change, and then I took the tracksuit off, and then I thought the umpire was going to have a heart attack. He turned beet red, and but I did do some research and found out that once you play 1 point, they can't make you change.
Okay.
And then also the rule at the time is, and it may have changed slightly since then because of me maybe, but is what is deemed suitable tennis attire in the eyes of the All England Club, predominantly all white. Well, I was 24 and, a bit of a maverick. And I thought, well, it's predominantly all white. In my eyes, it's suitable. And so clearly I was a little ahead of my time. The first game, I thought I was going to have a heart attack and die because everybody was gasping. And then I was wearing this, and we started our match at like 7 p.m. Oh, as you know, it stays light quite late, and it was cool. It was very chilly that evening. And then I lost the first set 6-3, and then I was down 2 match points, and I came back and won the second set 7-6 in a tiebreaker. And I was really just hitting my stride. I was playing so well. And then it was just after 9, Alan Mills walks over to the court and he calls the match. He said, due to darkness. And then he says to me, he goes, okay, you and I he says, we need to go have a little talk. So at that moment, I thought, oh boy, I'm going to be kicked out of Wimbledon, for the rest of my life. And, this, I'm going to get a big fine and be in Wimbledon jail. This is not going to be good. So he basically said, we have to ask you not to wear that again. You need to
Mm.
wear suitable tennis attire. So the
How
next
was, I'm
day,
sorry, how was your reaction when you,
well,
immediate reaction?
my immediate reaction was I didn't want to get in trouble. I'd
Mm.
made my point, and part of it was it was fashion and function. I believe in the tights. I mean, I wear tights all the time to play tennis, and now to hike in. I mean, again, I'm tall. I like to keep my legs warm. I think you see now in this day and age how people wear tights all the time. Back then, players hadn't thought about wearing clothing, especially tennis players, to
Mm.
increase their performance. So now, players will do anything to get an advantage and maybe possibly prevent an injury. And so I had made my point. I had and still have enormous respect for Wimbledon and everything it represents. And I did not want to, like I said, be banned from
Yeah.
the club from forever and all the rest. And I was going to respect what they had to say. So the next day I wore just a traditional skirt and top by Pony, and then I lost 6-3 in the third. And it was even colder the next day. I mean, it was freezing. I
Ooh.
remember I was like, oh my God, of all days not to be able to wear this was the day. So so that's what happened. And cut back to 2 years ago when Serena wore it at the French.
Yes.
I mean, now I look at it and I'm like, look, this is, one of the greatest athletes ever to
Yeah.
play any sport. And why should she be told what she can wear to work?
Mm.
And also, she had a serious health injury. I mean, that's a whole different level. And that's not cool for somebody to tell somebody that they couldn't wear that. Now, in my opinion, if that had been Sharapova or somebody else wearing that outfit, I'm not so sure it would have been banned,
It's a good point. What a wonderful story. Wonderful story.
It was
Thank
a
you.
little, it was a little verbose. Sorry about that. I know it's a little long, but
No, I love it. I love, and I always tell my guests, talk openly. I mean, and express yourself. This is, as I said before, this is like a friendly conversation. And to a couple more minutes, and I'm really enjoying it so much. Thank you once again. What is your any dreams for the future? Any tennis achieving? Let's say you get a phone call tomorrow from a agent that said, "I have a player. I want you to coach and travel 30 weeks a year all over the world." Would you accept that offer?
you know what? I'm a big. I love what I do now. I work with great kids. It's so rewarding. I never thought I would coach or be doing this, and it's turned out to be incredibly rewarding and fun. And to have, I mean, I was lucky in life to get pretty good at one thing, which is hitting a tennis ball, and to be able to share that gift with my students and especially the children, and to see their faces light up like Christmas trees.
Mm.
You can't put a price on that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And in terms of travel, I don't know. I've done so much traveling my entire life. I'll never say never, but right now I'm pretty darn happy. So.
And training a 16-year-old 3 hours a day. I mean, or not really. You enjoy more coaching little ones. What do you?
No, I mean, I have all different ages.
Okay.
It's listen. I'm old school. I'm like, get on that jump rope. Back in the day, it was like I was 800 jump ropes a night. I mean, that's what I did, 800 jump ropes. So, I like instilling these rituals for these kids that they do. And, it's a long road. And I think, if they can have these short-term little goals of being able to play on their team and to enhance their life, I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, very few kids make it to the top level.
Yeah.
But if a kid gets a college scholarship or somehow it enhances their life and I've been able to help them do that, then, that's a pretty cool thing. I remember at one point in the movie Love Means Zero, Nick says, what do I care about? He says, did I help you in life? Did I help the kids in life? And, Nick's coach taught over 100,000 kids. And it's a pretty special thing to know that he has all these kids that he's helped. I mean, Tommy Haas has become a friend, and plays a lot at the tennis club, and I
Oh,
know
I
Tommy.
love Tommy. I
Yeah,
posted a
Tommy's the
picture with
best.
Tommy when Tommy was. You saw the picture, right? On
Yeah, I
Instagram.
mean, he's a wonderful guy,
Yeah.
and an incredible player. And he did a clinic. He did a free clinic for the members of the club earlier this year before COVID, and those are special things. And I have Nick to thank for a lot of that. And Pablo. I mean, I hadn't seen Pablo in 30 years, and he came by the club 3 months ago, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to move to LA. Do you need any help?" And I'm like, "Do I need help? Get over here. Let's go. We're busy."
Wonderful.
I mean, the Beverly Hills Tennis Club has turned into the most happening nightclub around. I mean, people are coming to play tennis, and tennis because of COVID. I think all these clubs are having a renaissance, because tennis is one of the few things that people can do,
Absolutely.
and that it's safe. And it also builds community and friendship. And this time in our lives, I think we want to be connected more than ever in this digital age. And tennis is providing that connection that people desperately crave. And it's a wonderful thing. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Okay, and wonderful. And last question, and I'll let you go and enjoy your beautiful Sunday. Mm-hmm. The biggest achievement on your tennis life that you will never forget? Or maybe more than one, of course.
Well, one is I won 3 gold balls in one day. USTA, I don't know if you know the USTA gold balls you get when you win a national title. So I won 3 in one day, and it was on my parents' 27th wedding anniversary, which was nice. In Pittsburgh, I won and it was on clay of all things.
Oh, wow.
I won the singles and the doubles and the mixed doubles, and the U.S. amateur clay courts. So I won 3 gold balls in one day, which was amazing. And then, playing back in the day, we had Whiteman Cup where we played for the United States. I got to play in that at Royal Albert Hall, which was a real treat. And where we beat England. And then I played again in America at William & Mary, where we won again. So that, playing with the flag on my skirt, I mean, that sort of changed things a little bit. I was like trying extra hard when I knew that I was playing for my country. So those 2 things were great. And honestly, winning a tournament in singles, I'd sort of set a goal that, people kept saying that I was just a doubles player. And, I won 8 tournaments with 6 different partners, and that I wasn't a good singles player. And, for me, I needed to prove a point that, I could play singles and I could win a tournament. So when I won a singles tournament, I was like, yeah, I can do it. So that was a big personal achievement for me. So.
And you were 19 in the world. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I did okay.
Oh, come on. How about the other mortals?
I did all right. Yeah.
Wonderful. And thank you so much. And the last one, have you ever gone to South America? Visited South America? I
have not. And this
you should go.
I know. I love the spirit of the people, the passion and the warmth that they all exude. I mean, I have a ton of friends, and certainly, Pablo is a kindred spirit and a dear friend. And, that passion is contagious. And, I hope to visit there one day very soon.
Hopefully, and now people is getting to know you, so they will love actually think about clinics teaching the South Americans how to volley well.
Oh yeah, I could do that. And drop shot. I have a good backhand drop
shot, overheads.
Yeah.
There you go.
I would love it.
Thank you so much. I had a blast. A
real pleasure. Have a great day.
Thank you, Anna. And this interview will be uploaded in my YouTube channel. So you will be there forever.
All right. Well, please, I hope you'll come by the club and visit Pablo and I and say hi in person. Okay.
I will love it. And I can't wait to. And I have look, let me show you this before I leave. Look, all I learned about your life, but I couldn't ask you even half of the questions because I wanted to let you talk.
Oh, well, hopefully I didn't talk too much, but
no.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure, and I hope your viewers enjoyed it as well. So
I love it. Thank you, and thank you everybody, and I hope I see you soon. And
all right, bye, Daniel. See you.
Take care. Bye, guys.